Rape!
In Miranda v. Arizona in 1966, the Supreme Court ruled that detained criminal suspects prior to police questioning must be informed of their constitutional right to an attorney and against self-incrimination. The case began with the 1963 arrest of Phoenix resident Ernesto Miranda, who was charged of rape, kidnapping, and robbery. Miranda was not informed of his rights prior to the police interrogation. During the 2-hour interrogation, Miranda allegedly confessed to committing the crimes, which the police apparently recorded. At his trial, the prosecution didn't read him his rights, so he confessed unknowingly. The Supreme Court ruled that police were required to tell a defendant who was being detained and interrogated their rights, which became known as Miranda rights, which include the right to remain silent. And they must continue with the statement that anything that's said can be used and will be used against them in the court of law. The police are further compelled to inform the suspect of his or her right to an attorney, a defendant's attorney who can accompany him during interrogations. None of these rights were afforded to Miranda, so his conviction was declared unconstitutional and he was acquitted.
Are you black?
I'm 1/8 black. What?
You're us.
What now?
I don't care.
Homer Plessy was a white man in appearance, but he was actually 1/8 black. In 1892, he took a first-class seat in a white-only train car while traveling in the South. He was arrested and convicted of violating an 1890 segregation law. He filed a petition against the judge, John Ferguson, and sent it to the Supreme Court, claiming a 14th Amendment case, because segregation laws didn't give people equal protection under the law. The court ruled that the 14th Amendment created absolute equality before the law as long as civil rights were equal, social rights didn't matter. It established the segregation separate but equal poor.
Avoid the draft! The government sucks! Don't listen to what they say! They don't know what they're talking about! They just want to kill you all! It's against the law!
Versus the US was a Supreme Court case in 1919 in which the clear and present danger test was invented to constitutionally limit an individual's free speech rights under the First Amendment. Charles Schenck was arrested for distributing flyers to draftees of World War I. The flyer stated that the draft amounted to involuntary servitude or slavery, which was outlawed under the 13th Amendment. He said that the movement was motivated by capitalist greed and urged the repeal of the draft.
The government knows nothing! I ran out of flyers, but here's another one! Avoid the draft!
He was charged under the Espionage Act. He was found guilty on all charges, including insubordinating the military. The court maintained that Schenck had attempted to undermine the draft and that since it was wartime, it was constitutional to convict him.
Welcome to the pizza parlor.
An individual was taken into police custody but was told he was not under arrest, but he would be restrained if he tried to escape. This happened a few months after a pizza parlor owner was killed in an attempted robbery, and police received a tip of who had done it from a petitioner. It was Dunaway. He was taken into custody. This case was sent to the Supreme Court because the New York State Court of Appeals had to question whether the police had probable cause to detain the prisoner. The case helped set up a balancing requisite that allows conviction with the right amount of probable causes and reasonable seizures. A few minor things not clearly explained could be enough, especially without defining the term arrest, to arrest someone and convict them of a crime. And he was the one who killed the police, or the pizza parlor guy.
Hey, you're arrested.
But I can't afford a lawyer.
In Gideon v. Wainwright, 1963, the Supreme Court ruled that the Constitution requires the states to provide attorneys to any criminal who cannot afford a lawyer themselves. Gideon was charged with stealing money from vending machines after breaking into a pool hall in Florida. In trial, he could not afford an attorney and was told that he could not have one because he couldn't receive the death penalty for his crime. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. The Supreme Court then ruled that because of the Sixth Amendment, anyone in a criminal trial had the right to counsel.